Let's talk about that cancer diagnosis. Again, sincerely hope that Joe Biden gets the best treatment possible, but there are so many questions around why his stage 4 cancer was not caught earlier. It's been revealed that his last known PSA test, this of course is a blood test used to screen for prostate cancer, was in 2014. That's rather convenient. Donald Trump says that his doctor needs to be questioned. Let's take a listen.
Given to everybody, but it's given just about, and it takes a long time to get to that situation. Now, I think, to get to a stage 9, I think that if you take a look, it's the same doctor that said that Joe was cognitively fine. There was nothing wrong with him. Well, he said, if it's the same doctor, he said there was nothing wrong there, and that's being proven to be a sad situation. In other words, there are things going on that the public wasn't informed, and I think somebody's going to have to speak to his doctor, if it's the same, or even if it's 2 separate doctors. Why wasn't the cognitive ability, why wasn't that discussed? And I think the doctor said he's just fine, and it's turned out.
James, when the American people have been lied to so many times about Joe Biden's cognitive decline, about the origins of COVID, about Hunter Biden's laptop, there are of course going to be pretty big questions about his cancer diagnosis too. Was this also a cover-up? Why wasn't he tested for it earlier? I mean, what's your take on all of this?
I completely agree. The level of deception we're seeing at every layer of this administration is just quite extraordinary. And to that point, you don't get to a Gleason score of 9 on cancer without any kind of prior knowledge to this disease. And the facts are, this is the most medically analyzed man in the planet. And as I'm sure Trump gets his his yearly physical, so was Joe Biden. It beggars belief that this wasn't caught. This wasn't spotted earlier. Now, what I suspect is that I know that the Biden campaign and his three advisors are famously tight-lipped. They don't like anything get out. Now, we already knew that they were already trying to cover up his cognitive decline, his clear signs of infirmity that were coming through, particularly in those last 2 years of his presidency. And this is just another notch on that belt. And I really would not be surprised, as I mentioned before, that more stuff is going to be coming out. We should be prepared for it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And there are also questions, well, there are certainly more questions than answers at this point. And the people around Joe Biden and his family really have a lot to answer for. It was this time last year that Jill Biden was still campaigning for her husband to continue running in the election campaign. She was straight up lying to the American people that he was mentally fit. Now, we knew that that was a lie then. Everyone could see it, and we know for sure it was a lie now. But it's, of course, now been revealed that he wasn't properly tested for cancer in more than a decade. And now a DOJ official, Leo Terrell, has suggested that it is elder abuse, and that has even raised the question whether Jill Biden could face criminal charges. But he's not the only person kind of suggesting that Jill Biden should be charged with elder abuse. Washington Post columnist Sally Quinn also called out Jill Biden for pushing her husband to run for re-election despite his health problems. Look, I do think the people around Joe Biden who are spending the most time with him, encouraging him to run again, really have a lot to answer for.
I agree wholeheartedly. And we just had a story today about Joe Biden's top advisor, Mike Donald Long, getting paid something like $4 million when the next campaign manager was getting something like $300,000. So the level of cash that was flowing into these coffers was just quite extraordinary. And I completely agree. Jill Biden, Lady McBiden, was a central figure in all of this. She was really pushing her husband to run for that second election. And she probably knew better than anyone else, given her proximity to her husband, just what a bad state he was. And the fact that she kept pushing him on is just extraordinary. And I'll never forget what all these reports said the day after, or actually in the evening of that horrifying debate for Joe Biden. Jill Biden went rushing up to her husband saying, "Oh, what a great job you did. You knew all the facts. You're an absolute star out there," completely disregarding what 350 other million Americans saw. And, this level of self-delusion, I cannot understand why she put her husband through that, and I still can't.
Yeah, I'll never forget those scenes as well. It was painful to watch, actually, running up to her husband saying, "You answered all the questions." It was just Unbelievable. But there have been dramatic scenes at the White House today. Donald Trump invited South African President Cyril Ramaphosa to the White House and showed him a video of alleged violence against white South Africans. And this, of course, comes after the United States accepted around 50 white South African refugees. Now, the media is calling this an ambush. We know that Donald Trump is not a standard politician. A lot of people criticise the way he handles diplomacy. But what do you make of what unfolded today?
Well, this is exactly why people like Donald Trump, or at least half the country does, and it's for demonstrations exactly like this. He is going to surprise you in every way, shape, or form, whether you like it or not. And he is the ultimate disruptor. He challenges the status quo, and you know what? He gets leaders thinking. He gets them off their feet, and he surprises them. And this threat to South Africa, he has cut off all supply and all aid to them at the moment. The Cyril Ramaphosa came cap in hand asking for more support, and he was trying to go in this back and forth with some technological support and surveillance and preventing criminality in the country and stuff like that. And Donald Trump likes to have these conversations in front of the camera. It's part of his transparent drive, and I think it's quite refreshing to see politicians behave like that, even if you don't necessarily agree with what he's saying. And that's just a fundamental part of his presidency.
Look, I agree with you. And he brought in evidence, he brought in the receipts, he brought in the video for everyone to see, and he's certainly good at highlighting certain issues. But Trump has also revealed that the United States will soon begin construction of a Golden Dome missile defence system that they say will be a game changer in protecting the American homeland. So, of course, this is a similar system to the Iron Dome in Israel, and it's expected to cost $175 billion. Trump says that he expects a major phase of the dome will be completed in less than 3 years. Let's take a listen.
People that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. And Canada has called us, and they want to be a part of it. So we'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So as usual, we help Canada do the best we can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years.
James, what's the reaction been to this over in the States?
Well, I actually think this could be one of the defining achievements of his entire presidency, if he is able to pull this off. There's no question that this is a high-stakes gamble, and to try and replicate the Iron Dome over a country the size of Israel for something like the United States of America would be a colossal achievement. There's absolutely no question about that. What I like about this policy or this initiative is that it's very forward-facing, it's very future-facing. The future warfare is not going to be happening on planet Earth. It is going to be happening in space. And we already see that China and Russia are developing these space-based technologies that can then strike America from wherever they are in the world. And I think Donald Trump is doing the exact right thing to find some kind of defensive system that can not only destabilize and push these sort of attacks away, but can respond in kind too. So again, it's part of this mantra: speak softly, carry a big stick. And Donald Trump is very much embodying that.
Okay, and the richest person in the world, Elon Musk, has revealed that he's going to be spending a lot less on political campaigns. We know that Elon, he made these comments via a video conference during a Bloomberg forum in Doha. Let's take a listen.
I think in terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
And why is that?
I think I've done enough.
Is it because of blowback?
Well, if I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it. I do not currently see a reason.
Elon Musk donated more than $250 million to Trump's campaign, and his comments come after all the work he's done establishing and leading Doge, which, although it hasn't reached its financial target yet, it has slashed $160 billion in federal spending. What do you make of Elon's comments? Is this a pretty big setback for the Republicans?
No, I think Elon is going back to doing what he does best, and that's managing his 17 or 18 companies or whatever. I think this is the best application of his skill set. And what he accomplished, particularly in Donald Trump's campaign, where, as you mentioned, that sort of $250 million plus infusion into the campaign really swung those states like places like Pennsylvania and the like. And it was actually the novelty of some of these innovations that he was using during those campaigns really got the grassroots going. And so I really don't think you can underestimate Elon Musk's contribution to Donald Trump's election campaign success. As for Doge, it's not over. It's going to carry on. Musk did say he's going to be there 2 days a week or something like that. But I do think this is a necessary divergence, and it was going to happen eventually. He still has to worry about Tesla, the Boring Company, and all the other ones. So we'll have to see how that all pans.
Yeah, it's phenomenal what's on his plate. Elon's also spoken about the legacy media and how it's been effective at making you believe things that simply aren't true. Let's listen to him.
My question is more about your work at Doge, for example. Was that worth it? You know, to the extent you are now, Elon, you were a somewhat divisive figure 2 years ago, but now you really are. I mean, there are people who love you, but there are a lot of people who dislike you, some of whom were your customers. And I wonder, was it worth the undertaking at Doge and everything else that you've done and how outspoken you've been in terms of the things you believe in to antagonize so many potential buyers and or users of things like a robo-taxi?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, what I've learned is that legacy media propaganda is very effective at making people believe things that aren't true.
What would an example of that be?
That I'm a Nazi, for example.
Right.
And how many legacy media publications, talk shows, whatever, try to claim that I was a Nazi because of some random hand gesture at a rally where all I said was that my heart goes out to you, and I was talking about space travel.
I think his comments about the legacy media are absolutely valid. What do you make of it?
Yeah, completely agree. But for anyone doubting Elon Musk for whatever reason, don't just take it from him. Take it from legacy media's very own Jake Tapper, who he himself said that, yes, the legacy media needs to ask itself some serious questions about why it was not covering the Biden second campaign in the same way that conservative media was, when there were clear signs of cognitive decline. So yes, I think this really, I'm hoping, will be a kind of watershed moment for legacy media where they do start having these conversations with themselves, particularly when one of its major stars is sticking his head above the parapet to talk about this. And I hope that going forward, although I'm admittedly not particularly optimistic about this, that there will be some changes in how they approach this, and maybe they'll even, dare I say it, hire some conservatives, but that's a long way away. Maybe it's a bit of a pipe dream.
One can hope. I really appreciate it. James Billot, Newsroom editor at UnHerd, thanks so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Thank you. Take care.